Okay, I guess we're ready to go. I see Chaz, you're in. And then the only other person I'd expect if he comes in would be Sam Grant. So, at this point, this is called a meeting to order for 2 p.m. for the Townsend Finance Committee on August 8th, 2023. And with that, where we have remote, can we have a roll call for attendees?
Mark Hussey.
Andrea Wood.
Thank you, Andrea. And Don Hayes. So with that, we have 5 finance committee members. We have a quorum. And thank you all for attending today. The meeting is being recorded for availability on YouTube and playback later. As a reminder, that meetings hosted by TCAM and being recorded are posted to the Town of Townsend YouTube channel and rebroadcast on Comcast Channel 9. By participating in the meeting hosted by TCAM, you are giving the tacit permission that your image and likeness and voice and audio to be recorded and recorded. The broadcast posted and outlined by TCAM. At this point, in the agenda, the additions and deletions, I do have one addition. And after the meeting session, it's going to be the correspondence. We did have some mail in the mailbox today that I just picked up. Okay, does anybody else have anything that was missing from the agenda that you'd like to have added?
I have nothing.
Okay. That being said, we'll move into the work session. Thank you. The first item is the membership requirements. Just wanted to make sure that we are all aware and have been sworn into our current assignments or there. I think I'll get the list from Kathy Spofford, thank you. It's kind of like, and let you know if you need to be sworn in. Also the conflict of interest. I know I'm due in August, so I need to get that email address, get it updated.
But what's the timeline? You have to do it every year, or is it every term?
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years? Okay.
You have to do it.
'Cause I think I did it last year.
I've done mine this year, so I'm not much of
I did the online, I just had to print my certificate.
It's on. Did you print out the certificate?
I printed it, I just have
Yeah.
to bring it.
You know what, I'm
Yeah,
gonna find
actually-
mine because I never turned it in.
Don,
Yes,
there's an awful lot of echoing on the, from.
yeah, I'm working,
Technical difficulties.
it's me. But I had everything turned off. Do we have the echo now?
No, I think it's gone.
That's better, yeah, much
Okay.
better.
It's me. I thought I had it off and it was just low. Okay. Okay, so as far as the conflict of interest, I know I'm due. I checked with Kathy and mine's up. So I'll do that. And you only need to make sure you do it. And if Kathy needs to check it, she can go online and see that it's passed now. So we don't actually need to.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you don't need to do it. Yep, exactly. So a little bit more modern technology where we log in. She's connected to the same website where we go to access it and that. And again, I'll just mention, I think Andrea, you maybe haven't been sworn in for this term. And I believe Sam. Also, if you check with, Kathy, that would be good. Okay, any questions or regarding that? Any? No? Okay. And then, where it's every 2 years, but I think on the off year, there is a form that we have to fill out and mail in to Kathy.
Certify that everybody's up there.
We're still in compliance.
Yeah.
So I'll get that link also out to everybody. So if you're not due, if you're not due for it, you're in the year where you need to send in the form. Okay, the purpose, we'll get into the next item 2 on the agenda, is review the fiscal year 2023 transfer, transfers for any potential budget impacts or process enhancements that we can do moving forward. As we were doing them, let me share.
We don't have that screen, any projection screen.
Yeah, I guess we don't. Yeah, the projection screen's off and the
Oh, it's on way up there?
The monitor at the back of the room is not operational at this point because this is the computer that runs everything.
Okay, no, that's, I
Yeah,
don't, yeah.
So, we don't have the big screen. So I just wanted to at least bring up the file that I had created. We can go over, take additional notes. I had captured some notes.
Dave, can I bring this forward so that we can maybe see it? I think there's enough lead on it. Can we see it now? Yeah, blow it right up. There we go.
Come on. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get.
Oh, the mouse just don't want to do
Well,
it.
it's kind of the other menu button was in the way.
Here we go. Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Andrea.
Dylan, actually, maybe this is a little too much.
There we go. It's a little better.
I can see it very clearly now.
Okay, thank you.
We're looking at a small screen, so.
It's kinda, but even on the screens at home, it's better with this.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm looking at the transfer requests that came in, and again, one of the things that I do is I assign numbers to them, and I think that's probably something process-wise it makes sense for us to do for the town and start recording them so that instead of a single piece of paper without an identification marker on it, that it can be tracked and not quite sure where ownership of it belongs, but as they came in, just so that we could track them, I was doing numbers with them and just starting with the fiscal year, whether it was a municipal transfer request or a reserve fund transfer, change the initials in the middle. And that, I think that's, again, that comes probably from ISO 9000 and said, how do you track a document? How do you know it's the right document? That sort of thing. And again, that was submitted for the election recount hours. I didn't have any additional notes.
What was the from the town clerk? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the town clerk, we unexpectedly in the fall election last year, we had to
Right.
do a recount. And in the budget for the town clerk, the elections come in and we don't plan on any additional recount in the budget.
Right, we probably do the same this year, I would assume.
We did the same this year.
Yeah.
And next year, we'll have more. This year, I think there's 3 during the time frame of the FY24 budget.
But we don't anticipate anything different.
Next year when we get to FY25, that's when there'll be 4, because you have the fall primary, the actual presidential election, and then we have the annual election in the spring. Yeah, and so FY24 is our annual in April and the primary in March. For each, that should be it for elections within FY24. So that's been put in, and again, I don't, not seeing a reason why we'd put extra into the budget to tie it up and have to wait till free cash valuation and certification before it would come back to be used. I think that the transfer requests or reserve fund transfers is the way to continue to deal with those. Personal opinion, but if there's other opinions, let me know.
No, I agree.
And we had
Some stuff.
This second one was from the town administrator. We had the land use coordinator had resigned in FY23, and we started the assistant town accountant position earlier than the FY24 budget, which was the first time it was budgeted. So this was, again, a shift, but maybe I guess if I'm going to say anything about this, when we hire for a position that's not budgeted for, maybe there needs to be a form at the time the position is posted of how it's going to be funded, rather than coming down to after the hiring is done.
It's a really good idea. Have them look for the money first before they come taking that.
Right, and hoping that there's money at the end.
This seems like it should be normal course of business.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, we wouldn't put that into next year's budget, any monetary amount, because we don't expect that.
We don't expect that, but
Right.
knowing that it's a requirement coming in to hiring somebody that wasn't in the budget, it's kind of like explain where the funding is going to come from.
Right.
For it, so. And of course, we'll take this and this is just our first discussion. Maybe we'll put a little more detail around behind each one of these, and then I know Chaz is on the line. Chaz is a representative from the Board of Selectmen. And Chaz, would you suggest we bring it to you and you bring it to the Selectmen, or we bring it as an item on the Selectmen agenda and discuss?
Well, it would be your preference on how you want to do that. If you want to put this on the agenda and come talk with us, I can put it on the agenda and we can do it that way. Whatever is,
Yeah, like last year after the budget process, we did have the post-mortem where we got together, and I think it was moderated probably more by Eric, so that we could see what there was from both the selectmen's viewpoint and the finance committee standpoint, so that we could look at it and try to make the improvements going forward so that budgets are better.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to do a post-mortem and a pre-mortem if we could.
Mhm. Yep.
Just remember that we also have the new software that we've been adding adding all the data to. So we might have to
Yep.
set aside maybe a work session together so that we can all make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to that new software as well.
Yeah, so, and that was one of the items on, I thought I had it on the agenda is to discuss the process and the ClearGov software, how that was going to progress, because I didn't recall seeing anything on the budget this year to pay for the subscription for the ClearGov. So I didn't know if we were going to use it, but we'll bring that up in a bit about the whole process.
Okay.
For that. Let's see. Yeah. You think I've put any details in here? Okay. So on this municipal transfer request, we were moving a total of $12,000, and it was coming from two accounts and transferring to a single account, which, as we had the form, it's kind of like from there. I think we determined that we have to determine procedures and instructions to fill out the form.
What was this for? Do you remember?
Let's see if I can go into my file and see what.
Because I think part of this exercise is to, correct me if I'm wrong, is to see
Yep.
where we had
Right.
transfers and why, and can we eliminate them in the new
Can we
budget coming
eliminate
up?
them? Yeah, or do we need to, yeah. So. Yeah, that was not on that date.
Because I know there were a couple of them that were together, but they were for different items, or
Yeah,
they combined to make up for one item, but I can't remember what that,
Oops, I can go search. Give me a second, let's see if we can call it. That was. Sorry, just jump back to the one. That was
the secret number.
3.
That's good file management, Don.
You think so?
Yes.
Kind of.
Here it is.
So this was, okay. So 3 was the treasurer collector wages. Okay, so yeah, so 2 and 3 were both for
Oh, to equal the,
to equal the,
25.
37,000. So there was 25,000 in,
oh, but the total
this
was,
one. The
okay.
total
yeah.
was 37.
Okay,
because
okay.
There was an additional amount of money that
Yeah.
had to be transferred to.
That's why it's confusing. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, so this was treasurer also.
okay.
Um,
It was a couple of, three different accounts.
This came from the tax collector communication account and the tax collector other services. So it came from the expenses within the treasurer's account, to go into the wages and the salary. And if I go back to the other and look at number 2.
That came out of
Um,
communication and,
So this came out of the land use coordinator. So there was salary left in the land use coordinator because that position had been vacant for a while. So we moved some land use salary money into the treasurer, and we moved the $12,000 from the expense lines in the treasurer's to the treasurer. So there was a total of 37,000 that we transferred at the end. Again, with that, when we look at what we did coming into this year, we adjusted the line. The assistant treasurer position was funded, as well as the benefits. And there was a new contract, with Melanson, I think it was, or there may be another company.
with the reduced
with-
amount.
With a reduced amount
Yeah,
for the town accountant.
Mhm. So we're good this year.
We should be good this
Yeah.
year. So looking at that,
Excuse me.
Yep.
Yeah, we should be good this year, but it, a line item called other expenses doesn't really tell me very much, does it? I have no idea what those other expenses are.
right,
I'd like,
Yep.
we have to work towards more can't get it out, specific.
Yeah,
reason.
um, yeah, and I'm gonna put it in here. The other thing that you're saying is in in the budget prep process, when we have an amount that's other, it maybe shouldn't exceed a certain amount. And it should be specific and have a line item of its own if it gets above a certain dollar figure.
Correct.
Well, one of the bad things about having an other, which is
Yep.
more or less a miscellaneous kind of thing,
Mhm.
is that things come up and look good, and you think, oh, well, I've got this money that really isn't committed to anything.
Yep. Yep.
But actually, it was committed to, it just hadn't been named.
Mhm.
And I think you'd have smoother spending if as many items could be named as possible.
Just gives it clearer trends.
Mhm.
Transparency.
Right.
And you gotta spend it on a certain thing if you really want it.
Okay, so I'm just capturing him in the notes column. I will get this out to everybody and maybe wordsmith it a little bit and make sure I don't have any issues with it.
Is this gonna go out to all the departments?
Afterwards, I think we'll try to get through this kind of quick today. We'll
Okay.
capture it next month on September 12th. We have a meeting, go over it, see that it's clear. Then maybe schedule with the selectmen and then roll it out to department heads. And again, we've already completed FY24, so it's more for the FY25 budget
Right.
process.
Gotta
So-
start someplace. so.
Yeah, so that would get us,
Well, I think the earlier we start with it, it gives everybody the idea that they're planning to continue.
Then we gotta make them follow those rules though.
They have,
Right.
they're gonna.
Yep.
Yes.
That's always the,
Always done.
Yep.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes?
did you want me to put you on the 22nd agenda? I can do that.
No, I think that's maybe too soon.
Too
Um,
soon? Okay.
Yeah, I think we're capturing our thoughts today. I think, after September 12th, we'll, finalize the information and capture it.
Okay.
Get it a little more concise, and then we'll schedule after September
Okay.
12th. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, now the fourth, municipal transfer request, number 4. I'm gonna close 3 and 2 since we. I had.
4A,
Yeah, I had to go to 4A because 4 was corrupt. You couldn't open it, I couldn't open it
Oh,
afterwards.
I remember that.
And so this was.
This is a transfer within the fire department, I think. Am I
Police
correct?
Department.
Oh,
yeah.
police department, I'm sorry, yeah. Out of the lieutenant wages. See, we don't have a second lieutenant.
Yep. and
So do they need to fund more for training next year? Who knows? Year after?
The answer the chief gave was not at this particular time. This was a heavy, they filled open positions this year.
Oh, that's
And
right.
so there
yeah,
was extra
yeah,
training,
yeah.
that was required, that wasn't budgeted for.
Mhm.
But now all positions are filled, so there shouldn't be the need for the additional training. So his FY24 budget should be okay for training.
Perfect.
And I'm going to think nothing necessarily required for notes or anything else. Kind of.
What about the fuel cost? Just the price went up, I guess, right?
Yeah, the fuel cost, the prices went up.
Somewhat unexpectedly.
The problem here, in this one, this is one that really bothers me, is that he realized he was going to have a shortfall because of the increase in fuel. And he applied for a transfer when he still had plenty of money in his expenses. We turned him down. Then he didn't come back for more money, for a transfer rather, until he was out of money, so that they had to go into deficit spending, and we paid for it at the end with a reserve fund transfer. I think we have to make it clear to departments, maybe on the form itself, that you may initially be turned down, but as you get closer to your deadline, apply again before you're out of money. Not when you're out of money, but before you are, when you can't. He keeps good records and knows approximately what he spends per month on fuel. So he could give us a reasonable estimate of the amount of money he would need. He wouldn't have to come every month
Right.
if he had the documentation to back up the cost per month. But what happened here, I think, is partly the ultimate, it's partly our fault for not being clear.
Yeah, let me just see if I can get to that file again. Okay. Okay, so that was 4. I wanted 5. Sorry, kind of. 5A was. Okay. Okay, sorry. You kind of. Okay, I was looking for the one on the police fuel. I think that's more for, the transfer, the reserve fund transfer was for the fire alarm repair. But again, there was a maintenance account. And again, I think it's good input that we want to take that and
Oh, is that where there was some money left in the
there was,
maintenance?
there was
Yeah.
money left in his maintenance account. And so we didn't do the reserve fund transfer in the December timeframe when it was only a quote for the fire alarm repair. And so there was
Right.
money in the account at that point.
And it came in less, didn't it?
It came in less with the
Right, which
actual.
I was
when
shocked.
When we had the invoice. Yep. So it came in less than the invoice and we did pay the transfer. But, again, with what we're talking about is a little bit of codifying procedures, processes, forms, how to fill them out. That gets into a little bit of the precursor of filling out when to use each of the forms, and what the purpose is. So we will do that. Andrea, I think I had that captured somewhere that we, maybe I didn't save it. I'm gonna say we need to post it on a shared drive location or a shared files location. Where department heads can find it.
Good idea.
Told you spelling. Uh, Okay. Okay. Okay, so, back to the, transfer request. We'll finish them up. So the next one, the police department, was the request for the cruiser fuel costs. The $5,000 request, this was town administrator. When we first saw that in June, we did not vote on it because there was not enough supporting documentation with it. So we did not approve it in the June 26th meeting. So that did come back from the town administrator in the July 14th meeting, and we did review it and they used a different account when we did that.
But as I said before, even though I was wrong, maybe I have the wrong account, but they did go into deficit. I talked to
Wait.
Eric about this.
Yep.
Deficit spending on fuel. We cannot do that. The only thing the state allows us to do deficit spending on is winter operations. We have to avoid it at all costs. And so they have to understand, or we have to be clearer or whatever, when to come to us to fit your needs and our needs and the town's needs.
Yeah, and again, I think overall, I'll bring it up here. If we know, we have a window that's 2 months before the end of the cycle and 2 weeks after the close of the fiscal year. So us squeezing them in to the end of June and July like that is really squeezing it. So I think your other recommendation was that we bring it and can we do it sooner? So after we've gotten through town meeting and should we be looking in the May and early June timeframes to address shortages so that we're not trying to address it always at the end of as we approach the end, so that most of the work is done prior to the close of the fiscal year.
The other thing that we have to be careful on is
Mhm.
I'm not faulting the position. I think the temporary or the assistant accountant has been a marvelous position, very good thing. And they went for that with a municipal transfer
Mhm.
because budget enhancement can't come from the reserve fund. It's to
Right.
address emergency shortfalls, and that's all. When you put in a new position and don't have quite enough money for it, that's not an emergency shortfall. That's a budget enhancement. A
Mhm.
budget change. We have to, at least in our thinking, be real clear so that it gets addressed the proper way. So we're copacetic with the auditors when they come into audit.
Yep. Yep. Okay. And again, one of the other things I've highlighted here, that the account that had been on the form was wrong.
Right.
This highlighted is the piece, so I'm just gonna make a note on that.
Make sure the accounts are correct, account numbers.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Okay, that was, the request number 6 was the police, fuel cost. When we look at this one, the, transfer request number 7 was,
Is that the training?
again, additional training. Yep. So we took it from facilities energy at that point. Again, this was facilities energy, we put $75,000 in there in the special town meeting.
Mhm.
And we didn't expend all of it, so they were using the extra money that had been allocated in there and moving it in transfer requests to cover the additional shortfalls in other accounts. And there will be more that come from, I believe, the facilities account. So again, I think getting to it is kind of like we put money into a place and then we move it around at the end of the year. If we're this year, I expect energy will be better, but we'll see how it plays out. It's kind of we've got the electrical consolidation and that hopefully covers some.
What does it say?
It has already started for the town and the facilities. The rest of it is for the rest of the town. They're going to go out to bid. And once they have the bids, they see that the rates are how they compare to the Unitil rates. And then we'll either make a recommendation that everybody in town move over to it or stay with Unitil, opt out and stay with Unitil if you want. But if they don't come in with a quote that's better, they probably won't offer it, to the town. They'll revisit it, as I understand. They'll keep revisiting it until it is a better option for the town. Okay, next. The fire communications, again, we're transferring it from, the per diem wages in the fire department. The explanation was that there was an extra, $40,000 charge to the fire department from, the communication center, that had to be covered. So this is,
Who charged who what?
is it Patriot that's doing our,
Okay,
and so in the communications section of the budget, we allocated money, and then at the end of the year, depending on usage, I believe it is, they come back and hit additional assessments to each of the departments that they're supporting. And I believe this extra was to cover that for the fire communications. So, that's, I'm gonna highlight that as a question for the chief to see, if we're budgeted properly for this year.
And make sure for future years.
Yeah.
Well, the question I have is that it seems to me that we took a sizable amount from per diem wages,
We did, yeah.
that perhaps that line item should be more thoroughly examined.
Right.
We did talk about that during that session.
Yeah, as we did this, when we looked at the FY '24, they dropped the per diem by about $100,000, for the FY '24. So they're doing more full-time and less per diem work. And so there was, I believe that was a shift last year, but we want to, maybe have those questions about the fire budget on the communications and the per diem. Is it budgeted appropriately? Number 9, sorry, I can't share them. It's kind of I've only got hard copy. I didn't do the same. I just forwarded these out in the email. So,
John?
Yeah.
Back to the per diem.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
fire department has, I believe, 3 positions funded by ARPA funds. How does that, how is that accounted for within the budget that's presented?
We this year, we took the salaries, all salaries across, whether it was fire, whether it was human resources and the outreach coordinator. We put the actual values into the budget this year. And at the end of the budget, the last line is presented at town meeting. The last lines were where the revenue was coming from, whether it was the income from taxes in town, whether it was cherry sheet money, and then the ARPA money was highlighted there. And so that we know as we go forward. And one of the things that I wanted to get to when we talk about process is the last few years, we have been in firefighting mode and doing a budget just to get through budget season and present it. When we look at budget process and what's been recommended by the Collins Center to us, we should be using and trying to get to a 5-year budget outlook plan. And I'd really like to get to that this year so that we can present it and see when the ARPA money is going away, how do we replace that with ongoing revenue so that we can support the budget the way the budget is supposed to be supported, which is
And-
the
and if
ongoing
we-
revenue.
The other thing too, though, the one thing that isn't supported by ARPA funds, because we're employing these people, is
Mhm.
their unemployment. We're self-funded on that. So that if we can't afford them, the positions, we have to act early because letting them go is not going to save us any money at all. It will cost us money, actually.
Right, yeah. Which I think is part of the planning and the 5-year.
Yes,
Oh,
I
oh,
realize that
Yeah.
in the department and in the
Okay,
selectman's office,
let me just
not
capture.
now.
What was that, Arbor? Says Arbor money?
ARPA, ARPA,
American-
ARPA, American Recovery,
One second.
Act Plan.
What
It
year?
has to be allocated by December of calendar of 25, which means fiscal year 26, I think it is. So we have a little bit of time on, and I'll take a look at that just to confirm the date. See, it's going to be halfway through a fiscal year, so it's probably halfway through FY 26 that the money runs out in December of that, which would be December of 25.
Pretty high
Or
priced
maybe it's 27.
positions that are being funded that way right now.
Yes.
So unemployment, if we get to that point, if we can't fund them, it's kind of,
So you need funding on early.
mhm.
Exactly.
I'm just, I'm just capturing that on a line that's not associated. Okay. I'm going to jump back on the next piece. The transfer request number 9 was moving 40, the next 3 were moving money to the IT. So, or three of the next one. So,
We'll always do that, I guess.
well, we're hoping we were better, but, so there was, this one was a $42,000 move to the professional services from the veterans other services, which we did not use a lot of the veteran services. I don't know if it's because the agent wasn't here, but the money that was allocated is still back in the budget for FY24, but we had not used it to support the veteran services. It was an unused balance that was available to transfer the 42,000 from.
Do we normally use that fund up?
I have to go back and look at that.
Yeah.
I think we
We
do,
do.
but because the veterans agent resigned and there was an open position for a long time, I think our veterans might have been going to out of town.
Oh, I see.
At least for advice. I would have, expected if
remember
they
that.
needed it, that, we do have a veterans agent now. And so, the veterans in town have that ability to, seek and local support and advice. So that was 42,000 IT. 10 was 20,000 to IT. And it came from, fire wages on the per diem. So the same question applies to per diem wages for, fire. Make sure we have the right amounts and the right budget.
Did he hire
And
more
then-
people or?
I think he's hired the full-time staff,
Full-time staff,
and so he's got full-time staff to cover,
government,
a lot of the hours. And I mean, there is still the need for, per diem, but the money has gone way down, for the pay. It, like I say, it's down by about 100 to 130,000, I think, year over year. And the last one was 15,000 for IT. Now, again, last year's IT budget was, I think it was 75,000. This year is 130,000.
It wasn't underfunded, I agree.
It was underfunded, for the position. And again, when we talk about IT services, it's not just the IT services. This is paying for our ongoing licenses for the Microsoft suite. So it's a combination, and maybe that's something we should look at breaking out too. Should we break out the IT services of the support from there, and I'm not sure the right answer here. We should look at it because, the way Microsoft wants to pay for the licenses, they want all the money up front on an annual basis. So that puts us to pay a big amount of money up front, probably annually, as we open July.
I think that the breakout would be a good idea because I think the average person has no idea how expensive those are.
Right, and so we can look at that. This year it's still bundled in. Next year for FY25, we'll take a look and see if we can break the Microsoft out from there.
And the accountant should pay it as individual bills, so she should be able to print that out quite easily.
Right, and if we're paying it all together, it's kind of like, I don't think there's an accounting. We're not filing for income taxes or like it was in a business. The business, I would want my leases and things and software licenses paid off. This is just a bill.
Variable outside of Microsoft.
Exactly.
The Microsoft should be
Yeah.
relatively fixed, although every time you add a person and add to it, you got to buy another license.
Well, when we add a person, that goes on to the insurance addition, to the wages and blah, you know.
Right. It hits them all. So maybe we look at that and ask that our Guardian submit us 2 invoices, one for the support of the hardware, one for the software.
Mr. Chair, could I throw some
Yeah.
light on this?
You can.
Being the the IT person, that's not getting paid. This is why the budget is so low. What we've done in the past, they had it set up that Guardian was actually paying that Microsoft bill. We were paying back Guardian. Guardian would pay it in full, and we would pay Guardian back on a month-to-month basis. I think starting this year, we ended up, that's why our budget increased in IT, so that we're going to be paying that all up front. But I agree 100% with you that it needs to be broken down because there are some fixed costs. What we didn't anticipate was a lightning strike and a repair on 2 servers. So that was why that was necessary.
Yeah. Okay, so you're talking about the transfers for last year?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense from what I've seen from the first FY24 budget is there's already 34,000 paid out in the IT budget already.
Because we paid it out for the licenses.
We paid the licenses. So, and that makes perfect sense. Once you said that, it made perfect sense. That's why I saw such a big bump in July.
Yep.
And so I'll expect it to smooth out on the following month. I didn't have to, hopefully.
Yes, no more lightning strikes.
Right.
Put a lightning rod and hit that. So, IT budget wise, I think we tried to cover ourselves with the increases to it. And again, looking at FY25, we'll see if we can reach that breakout. and hit it. Okay, so, the next one I had on the list, I probably missed my number somewhere. This is number 12. This one was we're transferring money from the Teamer mileage to the injured on duty claims. When we look at that injured on duty claims, it is not an ongoing budget item. It was a special town meeting from 2012 that opened up a budget line. I think one of the opportunities we have is, number one, visit this line, should it be something that's ongoing, and make it, and put it into somebody's budget, whether it's insurances section or not, so that it's covered. But it should, I think the opportunity is to go through the open budget lines and close out things that should, like that are now 11 years and 12 years old.
Was that insurance?
This was insurance pay, injured on duty claims. It's kind of like, so if we are gonna continue to use it, I don't think we should be using the account from the 2012, because that did not come into the budget, and we didn't fund any money into that line for 2024, because it's not an ongoing line. It was a special town meeting line. So that's, it's, I will check to see if it's still out there.
No, on this person's, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can probably-
I searched and I didn't see it, but, I'd have to see, that report she ran may have excluded special town meeting items, because if you're not seeing any special town meeting in there at all, I think that's all budget lines. And so the big question is, what are we gonna do in 2024, FY 2024 and beyond? And again, it's kind of like, I'm not saying we're not paying for it. We need
We
to.
just need to
prepare for
fund it.
We
We're
need to
gonna-
fund it. We need to prepare for it. Again, that we, it was
40 something?
1,400.
Oh, was it?
1403.24. So there was 96 balance remaining. There was $96 in the account. And so we funded it for another, 1403 to get it up to
You're suggesting that
1,500.
we create a line just
I think-
before this, right?
I think if it's something that we want to continue to do, it was voted as a special town meeting item in 2012. It's kind of like, so that to me is a one-time thing. We voted money and put it into a budget, and they used it for a while. This year, at the end of the year, that money was gone probably for the first time.
Mhm.
So I think we should be looking at it, put an account in the budget, and make it some part of it that we're seeing it, and we're not surprised by it at the end of the year when it is used. It's kind of like, it's gotta be one of those pieces that's visible. That was sort of it came out of, so it's kind of like, I think the other action I'd like to see from that is review any open, STM, older STM items, and see, number one, can they be closed, or should they be moved? Okay, that's,
Don,
yes.
doesn't the accountant send out a letter, a memo every year asking how much is left in your in articles from special and annual town meeting? And if all the bills have been paid from that, then the money left goes into the general fund.
But he, that's what I want to do, is I want to look at it. We may not have done it, recently, in recent years. There was one year, Ross was here as the interim, and he went through and captured all of the special town meeting lines at that point that had money. We closed out about 10, I think. to move
Was that
money.
capital projects?
Um,
Yeah. I thought, but maybe we did that with
There was some some was capital projects, but
Yeah.
other was a lot of little money that was sitting around that we weren't using anymore.
Okay.
Some was at the highway for a project, and some others were around. But we still had about a dozen or more that were still open. And that's not accounting the last couple of years worth of special town meeting items that have been added. And again,
Quick question, going back to transferring the last transfer, was there $36 in that fund? Is that what you had said?
I said 36, it might have,
So it was funded then, right?
well, there was
Where'd that come
25, there
from?
was 2,500 at the beginning of the year.
Oh,
So originally there was 5,000 in it in 2012.
yeah,
So it was funded for that. And coming into 2020, FY 2023, there was still about 2,700 in there.
so we filled that line item in and still.
Right, so
Okay.
we backfilled the rest of it for the claims that had,
Five.
to pay all the claims that were in this year. So
So we actually have been funding it then.
no, I shouldn't say that. I don't believe we have, because I don't ever remember seeing a transfer.
$36 from back in 2012, whatever.
It was left, it was a balance
Okay,
carried forward.
okay,
because
yeah.
we never closed the old special town meeting lines.
Okay, all right, now I understand, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, those are the kinds of things. Is it something that should be active budget that
Yeah,
we should be
yeah.
looking at? It's kind of like, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I did capture that item. The next one is, 13, it was the transfer, for some snow and ice.
Yeah.
A late bill came in for $7,000.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, then 14, okay, so on 14, this is the fire EMS, and we had to transfer $45,000 into the fire energy line. And when we look
That's
at,
what we, yeah.
yeah, when we look at FY 24, it's funded at the FY 23 rate, so we really need to look at that.
Well, he told us last year, we told him it wasn't enough, he said, don't worry about it, look what happened.
There was, again, we took and transferred another 45,000 from the per diem wages.
Right.
So,
That definitely has to be beefed up,
yeah, so it's kind of like, so it's the same amount this year, so I think we need to, work with the fire chief and
make sure those numbers are
Make
right,
sure those
because
numbers are
we don't
right.
want to do that again.
either, yeah, it's kind of like we're gonna, you know, we need to address it, whether it's an article for a fall meeting to add to that line.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the drop in the per diem wages, we don't have that same,
To fall back on, and we
Fall
shouldn't have to worry about that anyways, it should be a
It's-
solid number.
it should be a solid number, so we should work on that with the fire chief,
We ever fund it.
Oh, yeah.
so. Thank you.
Not checking, I'm just.
Yeah, no, that's, it's good that you can see it that quick too. Um, Then, last one, the last transfer request, that we had was for $3,000. Again, this same
Paper.
spot. It was, a copy and paste error that the accounts
Oh, on the account.
needed to be updated. The accounts got updated and this is the request. This was the paper for town hall because paper expenses just went skyrocketed last year. So we're back into the budget for this year and we had the increases. So hopefully the paper isn't going to be an issue.
Should we be pushing some sort of like inflation adjustment with these? Because it's like, I mean, even like, cause of like the fire and paper's up, price of paper's the same.
Mhm.
Last year, paper went up big time.
It hasn't turned down.
Probably not. And so we can do that.
They should be doing that in their budget.
In their budget anyways.
Some
Yeah, they
responsibility.
should be thinking. about it.
Exactly.
Right.
In all aspects.
Yeah. So we can do that. And again, this gets to one of the other items, the 5-year.
Yeah.
Um,
We've been talking about that for about 5 years now, haven't we?
Seems
You,
like
you haven't been back on. it. We've been talking about it since we had Jim, then we had Ross for the
Mhm.
interim.
Mhm.
This was Eric's first year.
Right.
Now that we've got a stable town administrator, this is the time to
Start looking
start
at it.
looking at those. Eric has been provided the 5-year spreadsheet.
Mhm.
And I'll point everybody, I'll get links to everybody. The DLS, where it comes from, Division of Local Services for the Massachusetts government,
Mhm.
has a different 5-year spreadsheet. So it's a matter of, they do it by whole budget. The spreadsheet I prepared does it by our budget line numbers. So you can just take and apply them out.
Yep.
And again, because it's now line item based, it's a lot easier. Each line item is identified either as an expense or labor or something like that. And then we will add an appropriate percent. So we add the percentages up on the top and we say, is it an expense or a labor? And how much is that going to go up year over year? And you put in a percentage and you take last year's number and bring it in and apply the percentage. If we want to do a surcharge, we could certainly do a surcharge to some of those lines too, that are escalating in prices, like the paper, like, yeah, it could be. It's kind of like,
If you can get it.
if you can get it, and if we're not hitting. Okay, okay, that was it for them.
You got some good notes on, well.
We have good notes and I captured, and if anybody else has captured, I'll get them together. We'll and get them out to everybody to.
Email.
We can't. If we do email, it's got to be one way. It's kind of like, and that's why you're buying CC'd on everything,
Right.
Because if we do it by email, we could violate if we have more than 3 of us. It's an open meeting law issue, so we have to be very cautious of that. But we could probably do it on a one-on-one, be blasted out, and you just send back comments, and I update a single form, and then it's a one-on-one. It's a one-on-one conversation. It's not trying to get to everybody. And
Are we publishing? Where do we publish our minutes?
On the town website.
that's where we're gonna start. That's sort of on my list for today's meeting. I'm gonna skip the reserve fund request. I think that's pretty straightforward for the ones that we had that came through this year. We had the elevator upgrade that we approved in December. We had the police alarm that we turned down in December. Town clerk rescinded, they found optional funding for their,
Voting.
the additional,
Yeah.
the additional special town meeting
Yeah.
adds additional expense that that wasn't in the process. Then we had the Mason Road Dam inspection that we did in
How
June.
much was that? 5,000 or something?
1,150.
But we split that with John Delaney or no?
That was, Eric said he was gonna go off
Mm-hmm.
and try.
I bet he will.
This was the full amount. and
Yep.
then- Yeah, because it's half on town property, half on
Right.
his personal property. So it's gonna. And dam inspections are required, I think, every 10 years.
Is it 10 years?
Yeah, I think it is.
Um,
We'll put that in the next 5 years.
okay, so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that was the reserve fund transfer, municipal transfer request. Budget process review, I just briefly wanted to see, the ClearGov software seemed to delay us this last year. We were trying to get and keep on pushing the ClearGov software, so that we want to get a ClearGov software update from Eric.
So there's still a chance we'll be, even though we didn't put in for the software, that we may get it.
Because we weren't successful in using it last year in the grant,
Mhm.
Eric was gonna go back and see if
You get credit.
we get credit and they will do next year as the grant year.
Yeah.
Or he'll try to reapply for a grant and pay for it for this year. So. we're working-
Times are going though, clicking.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, if we're gonna, we have to determine when the shut off is and when we're gonna just go back to spreadsheets
Yep, yep.
again and hit that. So that's a conversation to have when Eric's here. I mean, ideally, we'd like to move forward and get ClearGov working.
It looked like a really handy tool.
Yeah,
It really
Yeah,
did.
and you saw it, how
Yeah.
it would work for the capital planning.
Yeah.
And so I was looking, is there anything that we did in FY '24? And I know it's not fair for Josh to identify potential improvement from last year's budget process.
It seemed like everybody got their stuff to us at a better time than they have previously. You know,
Yeah.
that went well, you know, because I remember years past,
That went away
a
too.
lot of that, but not enough, not all of it.
Miscellaneous to one is different to the other.
Yeah,
Yeah, what is all the different other supplies?
Yeah.
we still went right down to the wire though with the school.
Well,
That
Yeah.
was
well,
crazy. That was
well,
just,
School. And school this year is negotiating with 5 bargaining units.
yeah,
So,
we can almost, I don't know, we'll probably take a big hit there.
but maybe that's something we want to do and work with everyone in the school is go over what percentage of our town's budget is school budget.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a large increase in revenue. We have 2.5.
Mhm.
So when they're
Whatever
bargaining,
excise taxes bring in and,
right,
but there's not a lot, we don't have a lot of income.
we don't have a lot of income. And so if
Think of a school budget, every year it's a transportation that is a problem. It really is.
so the cherry sheets did come in and there was.
I saw that.
Pretty good increases.
Was there?
Again, this is estimates, they're not the
Right.
final numbers yet.
So how does that work? So I was trying to figure that out last night. Do we get reimbursed for that? Or do we get?
I think they give us the money, don't they?
Yeah, it's kind of, no, but I think they upped it to 80% now from the 70 that they were doing.
I didn't know what the percentage was. I noticed an increase.
There was,
Nothing huge in my eyes, but
School transportation is.
it was a bus for every kid in some
Well,
cases.
that's
It's
a state law.
ridiculous.
That's a state law that.
Oh, I know. Oh, believe me, I understand. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well,
school
there's-
budget,
there's-
yeah.
There's a lot of buses driving around.
Oh,
Every other van is a bus, and there's 2 kids in it.
More often
But-
than not, I expect another bus.
Yeah,
And they stop every other house.
It's
It's kind of like,
don't get me going. I'm retiring shortly. I won't even have to think about that.
so school budget, and because that came in so late, so
Mhm.
it's kind of like
What was it, 62% last year, something like that?
something,
That's
something like
ridiculous.
that.
I think it was 61%.
60, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you know, off by 1%. I guess you can be forgiven.
Pretty good for an old man trying to remember, huh?
Ryan, yeah.
But those are the things, we can't grow that percentage anymore and still
No.
run our town.
It's
The
unsustainable.
town government.
We don't have a,
And,
we don't have a tax base.
No, we don't have the tax
but not
base.
enough.
and,
People build houses.
yep, so it's kind
Yeah,
of,
which means more kids in school, more buses. Yeah, and unfortunately, many of these families move out as soon as school's over.
Well, it makes you feel
Like,
good. I built
Well,
my
the
house.
population of the school, I'm not sure when it is exactly, but I think it's October 1st. Whatever the population is then.
Yeah.
That's
is what
what
they plan.
it's stated as, whether it goes down or up, doesn't matter.
All right.
Anything else for? I know the schools was making us waffle back and forth.
Oh, my
There was
God.
the Prop 2.5 override,
Yeah.
failed again this year.
Mhm.
Trying to address it just as the schools. So if we're gonna do this, I think there's looking at, potential, how to, it's kind of like people, I don't want to go out on Facebook and start blasting things out there, but there's gotta be a place, for, more industry to support.
The other thing we have to be careful on when dealing with the school is to keep in mind what's best for the town and the
Mhm.
needs of the school and the people, not your personal opinion. You
Right.
can vote on it any way you want, but
Mhm.
whatever we present has to be more
Right.
objective than our personal opinion.
Right.
True, true.
We have to approach it from the finance committee side and supporting, and again, I think we have tried to do a fair job of that with different things. What's required? What is required? We back the, water department and
PFAS, yeah.
the PFAS and building the plant. You need water to get people to town. You need schools if you're gonna get families coming into town. People aren't gonna come to town if the schools aren't of good quality and they're not gonna get the education. So, those are some of the building blocks, and you need to have town hall open and operational so that townspeople can do business, get licenses, dog licenses, the permits for building and expansion. It's kind of like everything. All of those things have to work, and there's only so much money that we have unless we get to a point where we can justify, and really back a 2.5 override that is gonna boost the revenues for this year, but maybe it helps in having the 5-year plan helps say, if we do this now and do an 2.5 override, we won't be coming back year after year looking for it. This is what the outlook for 5 years.
Is there
It's gonna be-
a committee that looks at, like, bringing in different revenue streams opportunities?
Is there one?
I have a committee that looks at, like, different revenue stream opportunities. Outside, like, I mean, props is one, but is there other thoughts on that?
A lot of people are kicking a lot of different things around,
Yeah.
but being where we are situated,
Mm.
it's a little difficult. A lot of people are thinking more like trails and, getting people out here that way, but
But those are the pieces, but when you look at the master plan was put together, the master plan has an economic development section. What can we increase in town? The person doing it even talked about, creating a position that was an ombudsman that could help somebody come in and get through all the committees that they need to get to get a business, to improve a business. Right, it's kind of like, don't let a single person come in here that's trying to open a business, not know what the directions are. Or be the only one with a committee. But the economic development section of the master plan did have some ideas for trying to increase, those sorts of things. Now, implementing them, the planning department has that, but the rest of the town, and we haven't done a master plan implementation committee, so maybe that's a place where the town could come up and create, ask for volunteers to be a master plan implementation committee and start looking at those kinds of things. Okay. But she's laughing because she got me started on master plan. That's all right.
It's gonna be a
It
six-month
was
program.
gonna be a
2
6
years
month,
later.
yeah. It's kind of like, but that was the thing, the master plan was a good start, so,
Sorry, I didn't mean to
but,
derail.
no, it's kind of like, but, it's kind of like we don't have an economic development person in town. So, that's the piece, it's kind of like, you may have to spend some money in order to develop it, to make some money. It's kind of like, and get the
And a
development.
lot of the land in town is.
There's not a lot of land.
Not a lot of industrial land.
Yeah, and open spaces and, yeah, it's kind of like there's a lot of those. Okay, so I'm just looking at, next item was item 4, overall budget process review. Is this, the recommendations from posted documents, and the 5-year backward and forward. When I talk about this, I will get, links to all the places. We have a lot of documents on the Townsend website that have to do with budget process that the work of the Collins Center is there that talks about how to prepare and what we want to see for what they want to see in the annual report. One of the things that we've been missing a little bit is the 5-year backwards book that they had prepared for us. You fill in some numbers and it generates a bunch of material and you can see the histogram or the history of where your budgets were and what you used. And again, this goes with the 5-year forward look. So now you've got a backward look and how do we go in a forward look. So a little bit better, better project. Okay, so right now it's kind of like I'm looking at item 5 in section 2, the setting future meeting dates. We have been meeting Tuesdays at 4 o'clock for a while now. And Josh is working. He's probably the only one of us that. I'm sorry. It's
Got a couple months. Got a couple months.
So, as we move forward, do we want to go opposite the selectmen's schedule and go the opposite Tuesdays, at 6 o'clock? Is that doable for everybody? Is it, when we get heavy into budget season, I suspect we'll still be doing a second meeting sometimes.
Right.
On Thursdays, but I just want to throw it out there. We could try, and again, I have to.
What are your restrictions? Can you do 5? Do you have to do 6? I'm just asking, because I understand your position.
Yeah, no, generally, if we do Tuesdays, I generally will go on Tuesdays. And I can do 5. So we can compromise there. 5 works for me.
How about you,
I'm
Joe?
2 minutes down the road.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Or do we do 5:30 so you get your dinner in before you?
Yeah.
It's,
I'll go to sleep then, but that's all right.
So we're gonna go to Tuesday's office.
I think Andrew is saying
we'll go to
something.
opposite Tuesdays from the selectmen's meeting.
And we're gonna do it 5:30 or 5?
I don't care.
I'm good either.
I'm good either way, he's too.
Yeah. I'm gonna say 5:30 for me. And Chaz, that gives you the opportunity to not be in conflict with selectmen meeting and, Oh, thank you.
So
So-
what are our dates gonna be?
Well, we got what
Well,
next one?
we're gonna go September 12th.
Yeah.
We,
At 4 or at
at 4,
5:30?
at 4, if Josh had said he can do 4, so.
Okay.
um,
Did we have another one this month? No?
These are Tuesday,
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
No, so September 12th is the next one.
Okay.
And so after that, we can start doing Tuesdays at 5:30. Let me check. So he said the 22nd is a selectmen's meeting, of August. So that's on. So the 12th happens to put us on the off meeting.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
So it's September.
September.
At 4.
That one's already been set. That one's 4.
Okay.
Do we want to go September 26th or do we want to go, October?
September 26th.
But like the month.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
Um,
yeah, is a month or two a month right now, too
Yeah.
much? So 1 a month for now.
I'm gonna be on the Cape that week of the 26th. Is that Oyster Fest? Yeah.
Okay, so, 3, 10.
So we're just gonna meet once in September or twice?
We'll do once in September.
Okay,
I will get these things in, the comments
okay,
in a little bit better order. We'll meet September 12th at 4 o'clock
okay.
and then I'm looking at October 10th would be a month out from, or 4 weeks out from that.
Okay.
And that'll be at
would
5:30.
5:30, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, October 10th?
Yeah, just, with some notice, I can be pretty flexible. So.
Mhm.
So we're gonna start twice a month in October, or twice a week in October, twice a month in October.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So that would be 10 and 24. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 10 and 24th at 5:30, the 12th at 4.
And then Halloween is gonna be selectmen, so.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah. What does? And, let's see. Do we go November 7th? And start that because the next one's gonna be Thanksgiving week, so we'll probably skip
Okay.
that one. So,
3 days before I retire.
after party.
I'll try to make it.
After that, I think we're gonna have to go to the, because that's where, because we're starting really be thrown into budget season, can be.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And again, November, December timeframe, if we're doing the fall special town meeting again, we'll have warrant articles to
Okay.
review.
He's 7. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, no election this year.
oh,
Pretty much.
It's kinda- No election this year.
Oh, it's not.
It's off for local, the only ones, like, city governments like Lowell will probably have that. But our elections are in April, so we don't have the November piece. November, every 2 years, you have the state stuff going on opposite the 2 years of the federal stuff going on. So 2024 will be presidential and that, and 2026 will end.
How does December look?
Okay,
you
so
are reaching out.
December,
Come January.
Yeah.
I'm gonna really be reaching
December.
Oh, from Florida?
out.
No?
So
It gets too busy.
the one cycle would be December 5th and December 19th.
One meeting in November and then December.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go for
And
it.
then December 19th.
I think
when you hear the sounds,
So are you sending the letter out that we sent last year, they have your budgeted by,
It seemed to work.
Yep,
and
it's
what
kind of
was
like,
the deadline on that, do you remember? When does that letter go out?
it'll go out from Eric it's supposed to go out in November. And so that they have December to prepare.
And
And
hand it in
in
January?
the first week of January. Yeah. Now, again, we had some budgets the first week of January last year. Right, but that was because, they were the old spreadsheets. We didn't get a lot of them because of
Right,
ClearGov.
We get open mail.
Yep, I'm sorry, correspondence moved. We had correspondence from MMA. We received our invoice, so I don't know if we need to, take a vote and pay it, or it's $190 this year. So
I'm sorry, what's that for?
this is MMA,
Oh, I do.
our dues
Yeah.
for the Mass.
why don't we just vote on
Municipal.
it and get it over with, so then it's on hand.
Okay, then we have it. Okay, so we have $190 dues to be paid from our dues
Okay, I'll
and
make a motion
subscription.
that we pay the dues from MMA of $190.
I'll second that.
So we have-
Do you hear that, Andrea?
Yep,
Okay, any discussion? None being heard, roll call vote.
Journal Bezikas, yes?
Mark Hussey, yes?
Andrea Wood, yes.
Okay, Don
right.
Dick, yes, it's unanimous. We'll pay the bill.
Yeah.
In the past, I don't know what this accountant wants, but Lori liked a letter submitted,
Yep.
to pay the bill,
Okay,
all our names having voted however we voted to pay.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, in sticking with MMA, I'll get those, links out and everybody, if there is a class you want to take or something you want to sign up for and there's a fee with it, we'll take the invoice and vote it in the meeting if you want to attend. And I don't exactly know the payment schedule and how it would happen, but, I'll work on it. Find out. Gives us the opportunity to learn some things and meet some other people from other towns that are doing things. Okay, that was the last item I had on the agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion. We adjourn at 5:34.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and it's seconded. All those in favor? Roll call vote.
Carolyn, yes?
Mark Hussey, yes?
Andrea Wood, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. We are adjourned.